Hey, and welcome to Dr. G Speaks. I am Dr. Kristen Guillory, and I am so very excited to help you experience a life of freedom, faith, and fun you may not even realize is possible. Listen, I know you feel held back, I know you feel stuck, and I know you are hiding. As a coach and the author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again, you will get to listen to some amazing stories, receive some homework, that's the professor in me, and get some tools to help you live the life you deserve. It's time to quiet the noise and walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's time to stop hiding and start thriving. Together, we'll uncover your potential and ignite your journey to a fulfilling life, a life of freedom. So this morning I was in the kitchen making my breakfast, which was like a yogurt parfait, if you will. So some Greek yogurt, protein powder, walnuts, a little bit of collagen powder, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of peanut butter powder. And the last thing was blueberries. So I went to my refrigerator, pulled out the blueberries, and I dropped them. And they're rolling all over the floor. There were a couple that were still in the container. And when I touched the container, all of them came out. And literally in a split second, I remember thinking, okay, I'm grateful I can bend over to get these blueberries. There's a reason that this happened. This bending over, this bending down is actually stretching my back. And it was fascinating because I picked them up, cleaned them off, washed them off, and had my lovely yogurt parfait. I don't believe I would have had that lens through which to look if I hadn't been doing what I was doing literally just 30 minutes prior. So 30 minutes prior, I was in the midst of my morning quiet time, my morning Bible study, just reflecting, and I came across a Facebook memory from 10 years ago of an event that I used to host for women called Cozy Convos, and the 10-year anniversary or the memory was about an event we hosted 10 years ago called I Should Have Been, or I Should Have, that just getting in the cycle of, oh, I should have been in this place by now, should have had this by now, should have been married by now, should have had a kid by now, should have had this amount of money by now, I should have been healed by now, all that should have been. And as I was just thinking about that and writing and journaling, my mind went to what would happen if we focused more on what God has done over what we believe he hasn't. Just what would happen? What would that feel like? What would that do? And so I decided to do it. I decided to sit in, and I don't really have a lot of I should have been, because I do think there are some healthy I should have beens. I should have communicated with you more, right? If it's expressing remorse or ownership in something, I should have paid attention more, so it's something like that. And even in that, God still heals, God still restores. So I decided to just think about the last couple of days and even the last couple of months about things that God has done, and not only the big grandiose things, but things that would be considered to be mundane, things that we might overlook. I might overlook. I'll use an I statement. I remember reading something that Joyce Meyer wrote, and she said, it's not that God does not wow us anymore. It's not that he doesn't wow us anymore. He wows us every day. We've just gotten used to it. And she shared a story of, I think, y'all, I could be horribly misquoting, but she shared a story, I think, about a youngster who observed a rainbow and was like, oh my gosh, look at the rainbow. It's so pretty. It's so amazing. And it's not that God is not still doing these things. We just have gotten used to it. The things that you used to desire and want and you now have, and it's a regular part of your life. If there was ever a time that you struggled financially and you are no longer struggling financially, and It's just the norm. You don't even think about it. It's not a big deal. But there was one point that, oh my gosh, I would give anything to be able to pay this bill. I would give anything to a time where you dreamed of going on a trip or doing something in particular and it seemed so far off. And then you were able to go. And then since that trip, you've been able to go on so many trips. And if we aren't careful, we could miss the blessing in that. We could even at times turn blessings into burdens. I have been in, and I promise you, I'm gonna get to my list. I know, I'm going to get to my list that I wrote this morning. But I can recall times that I allowed small things to irritate me and bother me until I made the choice, the conscious choice to try to change. And this has been over 10 years now that I began trying to implement the I get to instead of I have to. I get to go work out instead of I have to go work out. I get to clean my kitchen instead of I have to clean my kitchen. It's just changing that. And there are times that small things irritated me. Small things. I would be at the airport and the line would be long and I'd be so irritated. Well, that's not the case anymore. And it honestly hasn't been the case in a very long time. Now, I don't like long lines, but what I do when there's a long line, I put my music in and I just listen to my music. Sometimes I am dancing in line. Sometimes I am praying. Sometimes I don't have music in, but if I am surrounded by people who are just complaining, I put my music in and I look at God is in this. If we're in this line, if there's a delay, we're being protected from something. So this morning, before I dropped the blueberries all over the floor, no part of me was irritated. No part of me was mad. I just was like, okay, God, you're in this. I can bend down and get it. I have the ability to. I have running water to clean this off. I have things to wipe it off. I can still enjoy my yogurt parfait. So the list that I wrote before, and I have an assignment for y'all. I want to encourage you to take a moment and write three different types of lists. One, look at your last 24 hours and write down what God has done for you, how God showed up in the last 24 hours. Then I want you to look at the last week. How has God shown up and what has God done in the last week? Then go to the last month and just review things. Go back to your calendar. Go look in your calendar because we may not remember everything, but just go back in your calendar. And if you'd like to look at what has God done even over the last couple of months, do that and watch just what happens. Watch what happens. Whether it's remembering, God, you have me. It's remembering, God, all things work out. It's remembering that thing that I was worried about never even happened and I stressed myself out. And it's okay because God restores that too. God is a healer and God, you have me. So what would happen if you focus more on what God has done for you over what you believe he hasn't done? So my list from this morning, he woke me up. I have health, physical health, the ability to walk, to run, to climb, to walk up steps, to breathe on my own, to jump, that my lungs are working, that my heart is pumping, that my digestion works, that my kidneys are working, that I went to get my annual mammogram the other day and everything was fine. So many things connected to health. And even if some of you are listening and you're thinking, well, my health is not there, I do have this. What has God still done and how is he even showing up in that? That I can see that even though my sister kind of teases me because she's like, you do not need glasses. I feel like I do to look very far away. And even in that, that I was able to go get my eyes checked some months ago and get some glasses to look far away. How's God shown up? God's shown up in laughter. I've been able to laugh. Laughter is an indication of so many things. Laughter can happen even in the midst of hard things, in the midst of storms. It can. I'm grateful for the technology that I use for my business. Everything from WhatsApp, how I communicate with clients and friends and my amazing podcast producer, shout out, to ways to have contracts signed digitally, to ways for money to be transferred, to Zoom, to email. Like, I don't have any glitches with any of those things. And even if I did, that's okay too. I look at where I've traveled just in the last 2 months alone, and the travel was smooth, and I got to my destination safely, and God protected me on the flight to Chicago, where I was 2 weeks ago, on the flight to Miami about a month ago to go on a cruise with my mother. We went on the Panama Canal cruise and visited 6 different countries, and the safety and the finances to pay for that. And the sun that is out today, the sun that was out yesterday, that was God shown up. I went to a concert last night to see Dougie Fresh, SWV, and Leandria Johnson. And a friend of mine came over for us to hang out. I just look at everything that day. I woke up yesterday, did my quiet time, had to do some work, and my friend arrived a little bit later than we planned, which actually worked out well because I still had a little bit of work to do. She came over, we hung out. We left a little bit later than I planned. See, it goes back to like if I'm saying I planned, we still arrived with plenty of time. Y'all, parking was so easy and so smooth. One of my pet peeves is difficult parking. I cannot stand looking for parking. I don't know if any of you can relate. I cannot stand it. But I love how they had the volunteers or the staff organized to direct us to parking, and getting in was easy, finding a seat was easy. And so even though we left later than I planned, I wanted us to leave at 5:30. We didn't leave until about 5:50, and there was more traffic than I thought. And God is like, "I'm in charge. I restore all of this. I can It's not about your timing. Trust me." Because we didn't leave from being lazy or frivolous. We were having a conversation. The conversation went over, and it was a really great conversation. And just the protection on the way there, the protection home, the fun, the fun. I had fun the entire night, but especially when Dougie Fresh was up because, he's just the greatest entertainer, and he was playing all sorts of different music that took me back to my college days, the South Side. South Side. Okay, don't play. Y'all don't know anything about that, but just the joy in the midst of the fun. Everybody around just dancing and having fun, and just God in that, in the joy, in the moment, in the dancing, in the movement. So many things. It was a little bit cold yesterday, so grateful for the heated blanket, grateful for electricity for the heated blanket, grateful for electricity for central heating and AC. I'm so grateful for kindness. Kindness costs no money, and it shows up, and I see it often, and I try to be kind as often as possible. That's actually something people say to me, like, "You're so kind." Oh my gosh, Dr. G, you're so kind. That's so kind of you. And for me, it's why wouldn't I do that? Now, don't get it twisted. Kindness doesn't mean that I don't recognize some things and have boundaries and have to, you know, check some things from time to time. Okay. But even in that, the wisdom to say certain things and not say certain things, what God has done, the friends that are in my life, the friends I've recently reconnected with, and even the friends that I am no longer connected to. I'm grateful for those journeys. I'm grateful for what I learned during those friendships. I have no animosity, no anger or anything. And y'all, I've been through some stuff with some friends over the last probably 10 plus years, some things that just don't make sense. And when I tell people, they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been accused of things I didn't even do. I've been accused of a lot of things I did not even do. Things have been projected onto me that had nothing to do with me." And at the moment, it hurt and I was confused. And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I can look back and see God's hand on that, and God protecting me and God protecting them, and learning and, understanding. Understanding doesn't mean I am excusing, but I'm just the understanding there. How God has shown up with I have a new or an additional financial advisor that's been great and even his healing. New opportunities and clients that have seemingly easily shown up. The people who have signed up for my group coaching program called Next Level, I have not led it in 3 years, and I'm leading it for the first time in 3 years, and the way that these amazing participants came and signed up and just how God showed up in that. God even told me how many people were going to, and it's one over the number he told me. He was like, "It's gonna be this number at least," and it's one over that number. In mental healing, my mental health, the clarity I have, it's just how God has shown up. The health amongst people in my family who have experienced some health issues over the last couple of years, the healing that people in my family have experienced after, significant losses. How God has shown up when I order Amazon stuff and it arrives on time and even when it arrives early. Come on, somebody. Like, y'all, the flyers that my graphic designer designs and the workbooks, like showing up in that. Me going to the doctor a while ago and getting blood work and I was good. Like, y'all, it's so many things. It's so many things. In June of last year, a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, friend, who pours into you?" And I said, "Oh, I have friends, and I'm actually," and he said, "Are you looking for like a coach or someone?" I said, "I am. I am." And he told me about someone. And the first 10 minutes I met her, I knew she was it. God showed up in that. That was actually a prayer of mine. I was looking for additional support. And my friend said God told him to say it to me. And I was so grateful. God showed up in that. God showed up in my skin healing. Like if I have a little scratch of a little pimple, like y'all, there's big things. Yes, the seemingly big things. God showing up in massive ways with massive contracts and massive healing and a 6-month sabbatical. And I'm so grateful. But if I were to break that down and how God has shown up and what God has done for me, I know I have been protected in more ways than I will ever know. I know that. I know I've been protected. There have been times that I thought, okay, God, is this my pride? Is this my ego? Why am I not fully leaning into doing that? Why am I not fully like wanting to do that? And I didn't realize that at the time, God was showing up in terms of protection for me. He was like, not yet. This resistance that you have is actually a gift for me. It is wisdom. Trust that. God shows up. It may be a whisper. Listen for it. It may be through a friend. Watch out for it. It may be in your favorite song coming on in the moment where you were not in a great mood. God is always there. He's always there. He may not be as loud as other moments because I do believe that there's a reason at times when God may be a little bit more silent to cause us to lean in and try to listen a little bit more, to lean in and be still a little bit more. I launched the Dr. Kristen Guillory Speaker Coaching Certification Program in February of 2025, and how God provided every single person because I was traveling. I was in India for a month and like, God, I don't want to work. You told me not to work. He said, I got it. And how he sent each of these amazingly remarkable people and how the program got downloaded, how to teach it, what to do. And it was building and beautiful and healing and life changing. God showed up in so many ways. God has shown up where if you look at my calendar, I should be taking a 42-hour nap. And God is like, because you are trusting me and letting me restore you, and you're pouring out from the full cup. You're pouring out from the overflow, not just the full cup. You're pouring out from the saucer and the overflow. What would look like you would be tired, you're not because you're trusting me. How has God shown up in my endurance and my ability to be able to lead merengue when I'm on stage and continue teaching without missing a beat and not being winded? How's God showing up in a special room upgrade or a flight seat upgrade or a person just sending you a text message to say love you? And somebody did that for me yesterday, a friend of mine, just a text that said love you. Y'all, how has God shown up? He's showing up and moving and doing all the time. It doesn't mean that you don't still have desires and want what you want, but give those wants to the Lord. Trust Him with those and focus on what He's doing. If there's ever a delay, a transportation delay for any reason, one thing that I like to say is I'm being protected from something. There's something I'm being protected from. If there's something else that just happens at a weird time where it's not happening, trust that God is doing something in the thing and or in you. What would happen if you focused more on what God has done for you over what you don't have? Take a moment. Think about that. Write about that. Breathe. Breathe. And when you look at the things, if you choose to look at the things, you see, golly, you're good. And everything that I could write down, I'm still overlooking 90% of the things He's done. 90% of the things He's done. A bed to sleep on, a pillow, the bonnet for my hair. Finding a hairstylist in Dallas, since I'm now based in Dallas, and getting that referral from a client and it working out really well. And she's been really awesome and wonderful. But of course, okay, y'all, just how He continues to show up. And I can think of times where I would be so anxious and so stressed in the past just for different things. I'm hosting an event tomorrow for men, and it's an amazing lineup of men sharing. And the registration at the point of this recording is very, very low. Back in the day, part of me would have worried or panicked. But here's the thing, it's not just about, oh, who's going to show up is going to show up. That's not what it is. Because I did tell the gentlemen who are part of it, if this number doesn't register by this particular time, we're going to cancel. Okay. And here's what it is. Here's what I've learned. If that number doesn't make, it is a lesson and teachable. Okay, it's not that these topics are not necessary. It's not that the gentlemen don't need the support, but there's something that we'll talk through. Was it the timing? Was it the day? Was it maybe the topics might have made some viewers a little nervous to see some of the topics? It's not a question of the need. It's not a question of that because I've hosted events for men from 200 people and 20 people and 80 people. It's not that. So it'll be an opportunity to just revisit and remix. And the fact that I'm looking at it through that lens as opposed to, oh no, we got to hurry up and rush, or oh no, it's not working out. No, that's not what it means. It means like, no, no, no. We just revisit and adjust something, or there will be the amount of men by that time that registered. So it's a really great place. And regardless of either one, God is in the midst of it all because this is not attached to worry or anxiety or scarcity. It is leaning into trust in Him. What do you need to trust Him more for today? Where have you forgotten that He is in your life? What have you gotten so used to that you have forgotten to give thanks for? That thing that you once wanted, you now have it. One of the reasons I strive to move in gratitude as much as I do is I have been in a time around 2017, early 18, even a little bit 16, where my finances, especially that early 2018, where my finances were the lowest they had ever been in my adult life. And I worried every day. Every day. I worried every day. Worried every day. I made money an idol. I made money an idol. And when I realized I didn't ever want to feel that again and I surrendered it, while my circumstances didn't change, my perspective did. And so while my finances have significantly changed since then, my eyes are still on the Lord. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. My bank accounts are much different, and I'm grateful because while the money is a resource, God is a source. Now, don't get it twisted. I did not like that time when my funds were there. And God was essentially, I felt like, looking back now, waiting on me to say, but God, I trust you and I'm seeing you even in the midst. And as I look back on that, oh my gosh, God's hand was all over those years when I was so worried. I was forgetting to see God's hand in what He was doing and how He was showing up, how I was still able to pay for things and buy things and sleep well and live in my big old house and all this. But I was so focused on, oh no, I may not be able to pay that bill in a month, or oh no, my account looks like this. I was so focused on the numbers in my account. I wasn't focused on what God was doing, what God had already done. First Thessalonians says to give thanks in all. Give thanks, not for everything, but First Thessalonians 5:18, in everything give thanks. In everything, in everything give thanks. Your affirmation for today, you actually get two. I choose to focus on what God has already done and is doing. I will not measure my life by what is missing. I measure it by his faithfulness. I am surrounded by evidence of God's hand in the doors that opened, in the doors that closed, in the protection I didn't even see, in the strength I didn't know I had. I refuse to overlook what I would consider ordinary miracles. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. G Speaks podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.